Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Ticking Together. As always, the goal of this channel is to provide education about and to raise awareness as to what it's like living with Tourette syndrome. In today's video, we are taking a step back from Tourette syndrome. Even though I still deal with it, it's still a huge part of my life. But I have received a new diagnosis of ADHD. And so this video is going to list some ADHD things that I do that are a part of my everyday life that I always thought were normal. I never realized that this was a little bit off. I never thought like, hey, not everyone does this. I always just assumed this is how people's brains worked. And so I wanted to address this and these symptoms per se, in case you are having some symptoms that are similar to mine, and maybe this will give you the little extra push to go and get checked out. So I've had Tourette since I was 12, well, my whole life, but I was diagnosed when I was 12. So I make involuntary movements and sounds called tics pretty much all the time on the daily. So you'll see me doing weird little movements in this video and making some sounds. Those are all tics and they're completely involuntary. I don't want to be doing them. But I was diagnosed with ADHD this past Monday. So it's been a few days and I'm going to be starting a medication for ADHD tomorrow. And I'll let you guys know how that goes because my brain is just a wreck. And I genuinely don't know how I didn't realize that this wasn't normal. I always just thought that maybe I was a messed up human or that I wasn't, I don't know. I always just thought that I wasn't getting things done and it was because I was lazy or stupid or unmotivated or selfish or just feeling like the absolute worst possible human. But there's actually a reason why. And now that I know, I'm genuinely so excited to go forward on this ADHD treatment journey in hopes that I can get my life back on track. So let's get into the ADHD things that I always thought were normal, kind of, that I just wanted to address. Let's just call them ADHD tendencies, ADHD things, ADHD. Ugh. So I have a list of, I believe, 10 points I wanted to talk about. Hi, I got rice. And the first one is not being able to get anything done ever. I either start something and never finish it, or a task just seems too daunting that I don't even attempt it, or my brain just thinks of all these possible ways it could go wrong, and as a result, I just don't do it. Even though my brain is screaming at me, telling me, hey, do this, you need to do this, it's mandatory, there's a deadline, there's a due date, you have to do this, but I just can't get anything done. Say I needed to clean my room, for example, I would look at it and be like, that looks like a big job, not gonna do it. But inside, I want to do it. I know that I need to, and it's something that has to be done, and I want to clean my room to be in a healthy living space. But something in my brain is like,
that looks daunting, let's not do it.
Even though I know I have to and I want to, if that makes sense. And this may sound like, oh, you are just lazy, like just do it. But I feel like I have a block in my brain where it's like, I can't move, and I'll just waste time. That's another point I have on later. But I'll just waste time thinking of things I have to do and never actually doing them. And it's such a struggle because I know I have to do them. I want to do them, I need to do them. But something in my brain is just like,
no.
And then I just zone out and focus on something else for hours on end. The next point is again related to executive functioning or getting things done. My planning, my goal setting, my time management skills, all of those are absolutely terrible. If someone were to throw me a planner and say, plan your week, I will completely shut down. I won't even know how to do it. So in regards to these executive functions, the definition of that is executive functions are a set of cognitive processes that are necessary for the cognitive control of behaviors. And so things like planning or goal setting or being able to budget time, anything like that is just impossible for me. And I've always just thought, that I'm just bad at it, but in reality I have a disorder that causes this to be even worse than it already is. So not being able to finish tasks, and as a result not planning for tasks to be finished, not dealing with plans at all, being very spontaneous in a bad way. I know that sometimes spontaneity can be exciting and you can be like, hey, let's go for a walk and have super much fun and just do it without a plan, but mine gets to a point where it's like, this is bad. And this leads to my next point, which is extreme impulsivity and spontaneity. So for me, The way I described this to my doctor was I get an idea, something comes in my brain, and I have to do it immediately, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what it is, if it's a good idea, bad idea, any idea that I think, hey, I want to do this, I have to do it immediately. There is no waiting, there is no planning, it's let's do it now without fear of repercussion or fear of something going wrong. It's just I have to do it immediately. And these aren't thoughts that I've ruminated on or repeated in my brain trying to think like, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Let's weigh the options. These are ideas that pop in my head and I do them immediately. Hi, I got rice. The communists are coming. The communists are coming. An example of this for me is I cut my hair off at 3 in the morning. I had not been planning on cutting my hair off. I had no desire to cut my hair off prior to this pop in my brain. And I was like, let's do it right now. Let's cut my hair off. So I cut my hair off. I cut off like 4 or 5 inches randomly at 3 in the morning without fear of it going wrong or something terrible happening. It could have gone horribly, but luckily it turned out okay. But I didn't fear anything going wrong. I just had to do it because it popped in my brain and I was physically sitting in discomfort if I didn't do it. I was trying to resist the urge of, okay, let's cut my hair, let's cut my hair, let's cut my hair. But I couldn't resist it. It felt physically painful to resist this urge of this idea that I had to do. And I don't know who else experiences that. That's something that I don't feel like a lot of people relate to. If you do, let me know in the comments because I feel super alone and weird. Another part of the impulsivity and spontaneity is making random purchases online at ungodly hours of the morning for no reason. I'll get an idea like, hey, I want to get all this stuff for my wall that you're seeing behind me, let's do it. And I purchased it at like 5 a.m. because Amazon is a bad place for people with ADHD. And so I'll add all these things to my cart and then I'll just check out and I'll be like, no fear of repercussion, no fear how much I'm spending. I'm just gonna buy because I want this stuff and it's exciting and novelty is exciting. And that's another point later on. Another point for this impulsivity is I will get up in the middle of the night and be like, let's do my makeup and hair and let's have a photo shoot. And I feel like all of this stuff is very creative and very, it's nothing that's extremely detrimental, but spending money online and cutting hair and things that are permanent or have a little bit of a permanency to them, I feel like this is not good. And so my ADHD brain just has no impulse control. I'm not able to resist these urges of random ideas. And if I get the idea, as I said, I have to do it now, without waiting. I will wake up at any hour of the night. I will do it at any time. If I get an idea, I feel sick almost until I do it. So that's something that I hate about having ADHD and Tourette syndrome, but that's just a part of my life and hopefully the medication I go on helps, maybe. My doctor said it might, so fingers crossed. The next point is having a short fuse and experiencing extreme frustration. For me, how this manifests is if I don't get something right the first time, I get so frustrated, angry, I just shut down completely, I get so annoyed, or if something doesn't go my way or the way I envision it to in my impulsivity or whatever, I get angry and I get frustrated and I just have no tolerance for patience and I just get these bouts of anger and frustration for really no reason, but I'm just stuck in this mood because something has triggered it. And sometimes nothing triggers it. Sometimes I'm just really frustrated for no reason. And this has to deal with being impatient. With the frustration comes being impatient because I literally can't wait for anything. Waiting in line makes me so angry. I just get so impatient and frustrated and I just feel like my energy is just being wasted. Or if I'm driving home and I have to wait behind slow cars, I get angry, I get frustrated. Waiting is something to me that makes no sense. I need to do things pronto, immediately, now, which relates back to the impulsivity, which is just so heckin' brutal. Because deep down, I know, Carly, probably shouldn't be doing this. Let's think on this. Let's take our time. But my brain is running 10,000 million miles a minute. And it's like,
no, let's do it now. There's no other option. You were doing it now.
So that sucks. I genuinely hate being frustrated for no reason. And it just makes me sad because I'm not an angry person, but I have this level of frustration that comes and I just get angry, frustrated. And it's like, why can't things go the right way that I want them to? Like, why am I waiting in line? Why can't this speed up? Like, why can't we just be constantly go? And the next point regarding ADHD and neurodiversity per se is wasting so much time. I kind of mentioned this before, but I'll just waste time doing nothing but thinking of the things I have to do. And I get upset that I'm not doing them, which in turn leads me to be frustrated for not doing them, which in turn leads me to not do them in spite of it. And as a result, I just sit there in this amalgamation of poop. I just sit there not being able to do anything, and I'll waste time on social media, or I'll waste time literally doing nothing, like just looking at a wall and thinking. And I get angry for not doing things, but then I get frustrated, and then I just as a result don't do anything. And this has to do with the time management and executive functioning again, because I just can't get anything done, even though I know I have to. And even if I did plan, like I did buy an agenda planner, I tried it out, it just causes me so much anxiety, and I get frustrated, and I dread the things that I have coming in the forthcoming days. And so I'm just, I can't plan to save my life, and that sucks. And I've had people in my life sit me down and say, okay, let's plan, let's make some daily planners, let's plan your hours, let's see if we can plan everything. And I just hated it, and I couldn't do it. I got so overwhelmed. Hi. I got race. To the point where, to the point where I would lie that I was doing things because I felt so ashamed that I just couldn't do things. So I would lie and say, yeah, I did all these things on my list, when in reality, I did nothing, and I just can't help it. The next point is sensory overload. This goes for pretty much anyone who's neurodivergent, and I deal with this extremely. It's horrible. I've made a video called Neurodivergent Things I Always Thought Were Normal, which I will link up there, because if you watch it, you'll probably hear more about my texture and sensory issues in that video. I won't go into it in too much detail in this video, but for me, texture of food and clothing makes me feel uncomfortable, depending on what it is. Like, I can't eat vegetables because of that earthy, crunchy sound I hear in my ear, as well as the feeling on my tongue. Some clothing makes me cringe, some textures like that. Sometimes lights are so bright. Right now I have my ring light on, and I'm gonna have to be in the dark for a few hours after this because it just really stimulates me so much that it makes my brain hurt. I love being in the dark. And sometimes sound is just too much. Sometimes it's either way too loud or way too quiet. I feel like I have to have a very specific level of sound, because if it's too loud or too quiet, I will feel physically pain. Like, is that normal? The next thing, which I previously mentioned briefly, is novelty. If there's something new, I'm like, ooh, let's buy all the supplies about it, learn all about it, let's make a dissertation on this idea, let's invest into it, let's do all of this stuff regarding this new idea because it's exciting and it has my attention. Then, after a little while, this could be days, weeks, months, usually days or weeks. After a little while, I get bored of it and I move on to something else that's new and exciting because it gives me that rush of adrenaline and dopamine. It makes me happy. So if I have something that is not new and exciting, I just feel bored. For me, some examples of this are like craft supplies. I bought all this stuff to learn how to crochet one time, and I was like dead set on learning how to crochet. Never did it. I got bored of it. The Procreate app on my iPad. I bought an iPad and I got Procreate and I was learning how to draw, and then I got frustrated because I was bad at it, and then I just got bored of it. Makeup, I'll buy random makeup supplies and just learn how to do my makeup. Try to. I'm not very good at it, but I try, and then I get frustrated again or I get bored of it. Anything that's new makes me happy. That's why I have a buying problem and a spending problem, and why I have an impulsivity problem, because I get new ideas and new things make me happy. It's like, ooh, shiny, and then I crash. The next point is I am either Eeyore or Tigger, and there is no in between. This is my favorite analogy I've ever come up with. So for those of you that don't know about the 100-Acre Woods, where have you been? Winnie the Pooh is classic. But Eeyore is the one who's very mellow, very depressed, very just sad. And Tigger is wired and extremely restless and impulsive, and he's just the epitome of energy. So how this manifests for me is I will either be like Eeyore and be very sluggish, very slow, very meh, or I would be like Tigger and be up all night long, bouncing off walls, extremely restless, wanting to run marathons, having all these ideas in my head, and there's literally no in between. I'm either doing nothing or everything all at once. And the next point is that I have a horrible memory. Not even just short term, I would say short term, yeah, but long term memory. Memory in general is such a struggle for me. And I was reading a book called How to Thrive with Adult ADHD, I think. But it mentioned that people with ADHD, their memories just don't fully form because they're so scattered. And that really resonated with me because I feel like nothing has really stuck in my brain. With school, for example, I can cram and memorize for a day and then it's gone forever. Don't even know what I've learned. In my 4 years of university, don't know what I've learned. And then that goes for I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning or lunch yesterday, or I don't know about my own life. I barely remember my childhood. I don't remember tasks that I have to do, which again relates to the planning. I should write things down, but then I forget to write things down and then I just don't remember anything, and it's so heckin' brutal. So I think that people with ADHD definitely have memory issues, and it's very, very, very debilitating, honestly. And my final point for this ADHD video, ADHD tendencies, is that sometimes I will just shut down and have extreme avoidancy tendencies. For example, if I get really overwhelmed and my brain is like, let's not do anything, sometimes I just get so in my head and overwhelmed that I just shut down and I can't even talk sometimes. Sometimes I physically can't get out what I want to say. I just shut down. I can't talk. And that's something that is very also debilitating because I know what I want to say, but in my brain I'm like, we're just shutting down completely, zoned out, zombie face, we're not doing anything about this. And so shutting down is a big one that is something that really bothers me too, and I just feel like it's a doozy. It's genuinely a doozy. All of these things I listed are just so detrimental to me as a person. I really struggle to get anything done. I feel like my brain is against me. As I said at the beginning of this video, I feel like my brain is screaming at me to do things, to get anything done, to be a better person, to be more productive, but I just can't. And sure, you may think I'm lazy, you may think I'm unmotivated, but I genuinely am just a mess. And sometimes, like I said, I'll be Tigger and I'll have so much energy and I'll get everything done in one night. And then other times I'm just Eeyore and I'm just meh for days. And it's really a struggle. So yeah, those are my points for ADHD tips and things that I deal with. If you relate to any of this, or if you're diagnosed with ADHD, or if you're neurodivergent, or whatever the case may be, please leave a comment and let me know if you relate to any of this, because I would really like some validation. I feel so genuinely alone in this new diagnosis of mine. I don't really know anyone else with ADHD in my personal life. I feel so heckin' alone, and I feel like I'm just literally insane because my brain is fighting against me and I'm just a wreck half the time. So if you relate to any of this, let me know, please. You can also message me on Instagram at Ticcing Clock or at Ticcing Together. I have 2 Tourette's awareness accounts. You can also follow me on TikTok at Ticcing Together, where I post kind of comedy related to Tourette Syndrome. Subscribe to my channel here on YouTube to stay tuned to educational content about Tourette Syndrome, neurodiversity, and now ADHD, and just my world of having a weird brain. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I want to get all of these points out there to as many people as possible, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure other people with ADHD or who are yet to be diagnosed with ADHD have these symptoms and are probably feeling alone like I do. So share this video around if you'd like, and thumbs it up. As always, we're learning together, we're laughing together, and we're ticking together. Have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are, and stay safe. Ticking together, where neurodiversity meets education.